This is the film where you look at any filmmaker out there, they say, give me the money, I'll make the best film possible. Well, I just got done watching 4 Sam Raimi films, and I want to talk about them. The films in questions are The Evil Dead 2, Darkman, and finally, Army of Darkness. Any good, well-versed film cinephile will know these are the first 4 out of 5 Sam Raimi films. Missing only Crime Wave. I do not own Crime Wave, and I really couldn't find it anywhere streaming. But truth be told, I didn't try hard. I hear it's only okay. And it's like a crazy, wacky noir. The main reason why I would want to watch Crime Wave is because it's co-written by the Coen brothers, which I love the Coen brothers. They're some of my favorite filmmakers. I know they were somewhat involved with these films, but I'm not going to really talk about them. I'm going to talk mostly about Raimi and maybe his brother and Bruce Campbell, of course. Yeah, the Coen brothers are acolytes of Raimi, which is actually one reason why I wanted to get into him, is because of the Coen brothers. So thank you, Coen brothers, for getting me into Sam Raimi. Now, obviously, I know who Sam Raimi is before I know the Coen brothers, right? I've heard of the indie films called Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. Yeah, those films were huge and some of the biggest cinematic moments of my childhood. Even Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 came out, the summer of '07? And that was a huge blockbuster summer. And as a kid, I loved the film, right? And you know what? All Sam Raimi films still look really freaking good. So, what are you going to say about that? But yeah, I know Sam Raimi, and I've seen Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 before, but Darkman and Army of Darkness was a first time watch. And I'm watching all these on 4K, right? This is the Sight and Sound, which I have an interesting thing to say later. This is the regular 4K, and these are the Scream Factory editions. Beautiful 4Ks. I love them. They did the job really, really good. But yeah, Sam Raimi. This is when he was very young and hungry and, very interesting. After this, he'll go on and do A Simple Plan, The Quick and the Dead, that one of the Kevin Costner's baseball movies, The Gif, Drag Me to Hell, and of course, Doctor Who, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But we're not talking about any of those. We're talking about these 4 films. So we're going to go in order. First film is The Evil Dead. Now, I have some really good friends that love this film and are acolytes of this film. And you know what? I can see why. As a filmmaker myself, I can see all the inventiveness that Raimi and his team are doing and all the independent cinema stuff that is still done today, but done here way better, right? The camera work is just phenomenal with how Raimi and his team just move the camera around like this, and like it's just nuts, right? It's just nuts. I don't know how they did it really back in the day. Well, I do kind of know, because I remember on it's not the commentary, but like a discussion in Blood Simple talking about the Coen brothers again. They have like this running shot up to a guy's crotch that's trying to be like a dog. And they said we did it like Sam Raimi and put a camera on a plank of wood and we ran towards the camera. So very inventive, very interesting. It's very gory for 1981 standards, 81, 82. I think it's 81. And the graphics and the special effects are phenomenal. That was the only thing I thought. Like everything else in this film can be made today very easily. The camera movements, all that can be done very easily. With a gimbal or like a Steadicam, a cheap digital camera. Okay, maybe not cheap, but a good digital cinema camera. But those special effects, that really takes talent, the stop motion, the animation, the dissolve, like that whole ending where all the evil, they're not zombies, but the possessed people of Ash's friends are dissolving is so gruesome. I was sitting there watching it with my wife, and she asked me, "Do you like these type of things?" And I just looked at her like, "This is tame for today's standards, baby." But again, it's a really good film. But I think of it more as as an artifact of a time. Like, is it still good? Is it still great? Yes, it is. But you gotta watch it with this time period. If you're gonna watch any kid or girl or boy who is now a huge fan of The Conjuring and they watch this, are they gonna like it? I don't know. I don't know. But if you're a filmmaker, you should like this because this is inspiration in a case. The 4K was really good. And the funny thing is, it is a Region B disc. But the Blu-ray, which is all the special features, there's nothing on the Blu-ray, on the 4K, is region free. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. If you saw my video on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I talked about like the lineage a little of independent horror films and how independent horror has been what's been elevating filmmakers since the beginning, since Carnival of Souls. Unless if you're talking about Cassavetes. This film is important, and it should be watched. Equally as important, Evil Dead 2. So after Crime Wave, which again I haven't seen but I know was a financial failure, Sam Raimi and team needed to make a hit. And so they decided to remake The Evil Dead in the first 10 minutes of this film and then make it again but crazier. And now I'm going to talk about Bruce Campbell because Bruce Campbell is an important formula part of The Evil Dead, but this is when he's starting to really shine, where he's starting to show his character, Ash. And I love this film. Not only is this film beautiful, those running door shots are some of the best shots you'll find in all of cinema. But they finally give some characters in this film. In the first one, you just have a bunch of kids going, to the cabin. There's the architect's daughter and the assistant. And then the two people that die. I know I'm not giving really graphic detail on characters' name, but this film has a little more dimension. Not saying this film doesn't. When the characters are getting possessed by the evil spirit or whatever, you kind of feel bad. Because they do something super interesting where they do transform back to their normal selves. And that's playing mind games with Ash and the surviving friends at the time. Which is pretty brilliant stuff. But again, this just takes it to the next level. Everything the first film does, the second film does better. Which is by design because, it's more money. This is the film where you look at any filmmaker out there, they say, give me the money, I'll make the best film possible. Well, Sam Raimi did that and did Crime Wave, and then he said, okay, I'll actually make a great film next time. And I do believe this is a great film. You really actually don't need to see this one to watch this, because like I said, it remakes the beginning, and it's a great remake. It cuts out, two of the friends, three of the friends, and it's just Ash and his girlfriend up at the cabin, and all this stuff happens. It's the big budget stuff that they wanted to show in the first one that they couldn't show. And of course, the ending with Ash entering the portal, going into medieval England. We'll get there later. I first found out about Evil Dead 2 from Edgar Wright. At this, I've known about the film obviously, but the first time I've heard about it was, and he was doing I guess this panel, I don't know who it was with, but they were talking about top 10 films, and the other person said Raising Arizona, and he said Evil Dead 2, and obviously I know Raising Arizona, and Edgar Wright was like, well, Evil Dead 2 and Raising Arizona are basically the sister films or the same film. So if you like one, you gotta like the other one. So when I saw that, I was like, well, I like Edgar Wright, I like the Coen brothers with Raising Arizona. Why not catch this out? And you know what? It's a great film. You know, the camera work is so inspired by this. And Edgar Wright said it. As soon as someone makes a film that looks like this, everything else is going to look boring. I don't know if I agree absolutely with that, but it is a great film. It does look amazing. Great lines. I say groovy all the time, and people look at me like I'm strange. I'm like, groovy. You know, how are you feeling? Groovy. Like, this one's for the memes. This one's for everything. Evil Dead 2, highly recommend. Now, this was the most excited film for me, Darkman. And this stars Liam Neeson. And a quick funny thing about Liam Neeson is he was asked, I don't know if it was either before or after this film, that it had to be before, that if he wanted to be James Bond. And he said he does not do action films. Then later, he does Star Wars, and then later after that, what does he do? Taken. And now all he does is action films. But this is a fairly young Liam Neeson. And this is a one with an actual story, right? These other ones, Evil Dead 2, there's a story, but it's more like stuff happens to Ash. And Ash responds back. He tries to survive. This is a story. This is essentially a tale of revenge. And showing some stuff Sam Raimi will use in the Spider-Man films. But yeah, Liam Neeson as a doctor that's trying to recreate like organic material, essentially. It's like masks, hands, and the compound's not doing good. And his girlfriend, who he wants to marry, Frances McDormand, like kind of find out, she's a lawyer, she found out this big company's doing some big evil thing, and they kill Liam Neeson, and he is given, super strength, and his face is disformed, and he becomes Darkman, where it's kind of like Mission Impossible, like he forms a mask of somebody, and he like messes around. And then eventually he makes a mask for himself, but again, it only lasts about 96 minutes. I know I'm not doing a great job. And this also makes him go crazy. So Sam Raimi does like these crazy, like, kind of like Adam West 1960s psychedelic, like rage scenes. Those are kind of some of my favorite stuff. I love this film. It was a great film. I believe it was supposed to be The Shadow originally, and obviously that didn't happen. Danny Elfman does the score. Very reminiscent of Batman 89. Great ending. Bruce Campbell makes a cameo at the end. He does like the whole I am Darkman at the end, which is again something that it kind of reminisces to Nolan's Batman Begins. This could be called Darkman Begins, and it'll be an accurate title. I do love that this is a revenge film. I do love Liam Neeson is giving a crazy performance. He kind of is doing like a Yojimbo type thing, but not putting people like two sides against each other, but putting like the gangsters against each other. And there's another one thing I want to talk about that Raimi has done, at least in Evil Dead 2. I don't remember if it's in 1, but he loves doppelgangers. He loves somebody fighting themselves. So in Evil Dead 2, he fights Evil Ash. Or there's an Evil Ash in it. Is he fighting? I don't remember. I think he does. And then in this, he dresses up as one of the gangsters, and they fight each other. And I love that too, the duality of man and stuff like that. I love it. And that's gonna a little hint for the future, right? But great film, Frances McDormand, great performance like always. Liam Neeson's great. Yuppies are bad, and this has some oddly similarities to the film RoboCop. Tell me down below what they are. And lastly, but certainly not least, Army of Darkness. Now, I was so hyped for this film. Look, first of all, this release by Scream Factory is amazing. It comes with 5 edits of the film. Unfortunately, only one of them is in 4K, and since I paid the bucks for the 4K, that's the only one I watched so far. And I know the difference between the endings of the theatrical and the director's cut. I've seen the ending. What do I think about this film? I think Sam Raimi made the film he's always wanted to make, and I don't know if I wanted it. Is this a beautiful looking film? Absolutely. Does Bruce Campbell give a performance of a lifetime? I haven't seen most of his films, but I would say yes. The architecture, art design, the graphics, the CGI, whatever, the costumes, everything. Is it nice? Oh, it's brilliant. Camera work, amazing. Just one little problem. The Three Stooges slapstick humor. Now that started up in Evil Dead 2. But it really came ahead in Army of Darkness, where they're doing full-on routines. Now, can I respect it? You know, this is an auteur work. Yes, I can respect it, but do I have to like it? I don't know. Do I think this is a bad film? Absolutely not. I think this is still a really good film. It's Ash versus evil Ash that's grown out of his hand. The film's definitely fun. And again, this is Bruce Campbell coming into the character. When I know this is the least popular out of all these films, and almost out of all the Evil Dead films. Like, people like the 2013 one and Rises better than this one. But when people talk about Ash, they are talking about Army of Darkness. This is the movie they're talking about. This is the movie Bruce Campbell was made to perform. And he was beautiful. He was quite beautiful. And it's quite ridiculous. It's quite, it's fun. This is, we learn he works at this place called Smart Mart, something like that. And he's just a clerk, right? He's a nobody. And because of the events of Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2, he is becoming a somebody. And now, he is a swashbuckler knight adventurer. Like, he can sword fight, he can do it all. He says at the end, he's the king, baby. So, yeah, I think this film is good. I like it. Has some really great action sequences. The fighting is phenomenal. It probably is the best fighting out of all these films. This has the best fighting. And it is kind of funny. Not all of it, but Bruce Campbell is funny. His lines are funny. I just don't care for the slapstick. That's me, though. I understand that's a personal problem. I still like it. I still love this edition. Final thoughts. Again, I respect Sam Raimi and his team a lot. I respect them. And I respect that from these films, he essentially grows to one of the biggest filmmakers in the industry, starting with this film. He makes Spider-Man. He makes Spider-Man 2. He makes Spider-Man 3. He made a Marvel movie where, do I like it? No, I don't love Multiverse of Madness. But I do appreciate the Sam Raimi isms that are in Multiverse of Madness. I appreciate what he put into the film. I appreciate that. I do appreciate him. I do want to see more of his film. I haven't seen A Simple Plan or The Gift, but I love The Quick and the Dead. Granted, I love Westerns and Leonardo DiCaprio, so there's that. But enough about those films. These films. I would highly recommend them. And I would highly recommend finding them on 4K. Like I said, this is the Sight and Sound 4K for the Evil Dead 1. The special features work. That's amazing. I love it. This is just a standard Blu-ray 4K of Evil Dead 2. by, I don't know, I don't have my glasses on. And then the Scream Factory with the Army of Darkness and Darkman, which is just killer. Scream Factory and Shout Factory in general are becoming one of my favorite labels to buy. Shout Select, just Shout Factory in general. I am loving the releases. They put so much special feature. They put so much heart. This was not that expensive. Again, it has a 4-disc buttload of special features. I got the carry over there, which the 3-disc. They're doing the Lord's work over at Shout Factory. I love those guys. But enough about that. You should go watch these films. Okay? If you haven't, you should go do it right now after you finish this video. Again, it was Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, and Darkman. Thanks, everybody. I'm Jack from Manelli Studio Entertainment. I hope you've enjoyed the video. I know that was a little winded. My voice is a little cracky and nasally. I'm coming down from a cold, but don't worry, I'm doing okay. I'm sorry for your earlobes. Comment down below your favorite Sam Raimi film. Like I said, I think mine is still probably The Quick and the Dead, but I got to rewatch that one. If it wasn't that, it would probably be Darkman or Evil Dead 2. He's just such an inventive filmmaker with his camera movements, right? And the sound design. Like, nothing looks like a Sam Raimi movie. Well, maybe except the Coen brothers, but that's another video for another day. So, I'm Jack from Manelli Studio Entertainment saying, groovy.